Coming up on the Tomahawk Talk, the Bourne Braves fell to the YD Red Sox last night 4-3 for the second time this season, but they're back at Doran Park later today for a game against Orleans. Casey gets to chat with field manager Scott Landers, and I'll be talking to newcomer Cooper Williams and Bourne Braves beat reporter Nate Laird. It's the Tomahawk Talk, and it starts right now.
Left field, back on it to left fielder Brocious. It drops before the wall. Cooney scores. Simpson from third, around, touches home, and the Bourne Braves have the lead.
Welcome into the pregame Tomahawk Talk right before the Bourne Braves take on the Orleans Firebirds. I'm your host, Cadence Kilhoff, alongside Devin Jarvis and Casey Kasliner. But guys, that loss to the YD Red Sox last night, not the ending we were expecting. Bourne almost had a rally at the end there.
Bourne was really close one more time against a really solid YD team. 80% of the losses for the Bourne Braves right now come to the top two teams in the league, in both YD and Harwich. You know, they're getting wins against the teams they're supposed to, but you would want to see them just put up a little bit more of a fight early in games against these top squads like Harwich, like YD. They've lost in similar fashion with self-inflicted wounds to all of them.
I think this was actually one of the better performances of the Bourne Braves season. You put up 2 runs in the first. The pitching did a pretty solid job and didn't give up a big inning like they're accustomed to. But like you talked about, it feels like this team either scores at the beginning of games or the end, or sometimes both, but you need runs in the middle of games, not just the bookends. And that's been the struggle so far for the Braves. Really good pitching last night, 10 strikeouts to just 4 walks. But again, it's the clutch hitting that YD has to be able to come back in a game like that. Not a big inning for them, but they're able to come back and chip away. That's what good teams do, and that's why the Braves lost last night.
Well, how about we take a look for ourselves and see what really went down last night. A single on a bunt ground ball wasn't on anyone's bingo card to start off the game, but Andrew Costello still did it anyway, which set Matt Bolden up for an RBI triple for Bourne's 3rd game in a row, scoring a run in the first inning. YD was struggling from the start, and Bourne was using it to their advantage. What could have been an end to the inning gave the Bravos their 2nd run of the game after a throwing error from Red Sox shortstop. YD makes up for the struggles a bit in the 2nd, a sac fly giving it its 1st run of the day. And YD just keeps building from there. The Red Sox are a sneaky team that builds up on their lead and not always from crooked number innings. And after the 3rd inning, it's a tie ball game. In the 5th inning, the reign of the Red Sox continues, and YD up 2 heading into the bottom of the 9th. It's crunch time for Bourne, and former 9th inning hero Blake Schaff steps up to the occasion, and the Braves only down 1 with 1 out. But as soon as Bourne began the rally, a double play puts an end to the game, giving Braves their 2nd consecutive loss and the Red Sox their 7th consecutive win, 4-3. Matt Bolden had 2 triples on the day and leads the Cape League with 3, and Cooper Williams, a fresh face on this team, now coming into today on a 2-game hot streak. Regardless, guys, not the result that Bourne was looking for yesterday.
No, definitely not. It's unfortunate when you have bases loaded, and we've seen the Braves have this multiple times. You go back to the Brewster game a little over a week ago. The Braves have bases loaded on a couple of hit-by pitches and are unable to capitalize. It's just been a lot of games where they have that fight in the 9th inning, and I think that's a really promising thing when you look ahead to future months, where you can clean that up. You have time to. And I think the Braves are still a clutch team. Even if you're not able to win a game in the 9th, but be able to put pressure on opposing pitchers is huge.
I think you got to go through the adversity early, get the losses out of the way now. This is a Bourne team, again, that was 4-9-1 after the first game in July. It's not a team that was spectacular, and it hasn't ever been in the month of June. So you take it with a grain of salt, the struggles that we've seen so far. That being said, they're still top of the West Division. And you understand this team's going to get motivated when the time comes, right? You know how they're getting motivated at the end of the games? Well, they're going to get motivated at the end of the regular season as well to understand the importance of those games. Again, maybe clinch a late playoff spot, because I think that's really what makes an impact for these players, is having the will to go. I'd almost rather have a chance to clinch the playoffs late in July, early in August, than having already clinched it in mid-July, because that's where you get the players to really dig deep and want to win. But like you said, I think there's still things to take away from this game that are pretty positive. You look at Matt Bolton. I mean, another fantastic game, two triples. He's now third in the Cape Cod Baseball League in OPS. Bourne also has Andrew Costello, who leads the Cape Cod Baseball League in OPS. You've got some really talented guys. You like what you've seen from Cooper Williams. And overall, you're getting a couple more guys to show out in a more balanced offensive attack rather than the heavy one that we've seen as of recent. Bottom half of the order didn't play great, but at the end of the day, I think you're starting to see certain guys have a good game here, a good game there. Cal Sesic with a good one yesterday as well. Long time coming for him. And you just got to piece it together. That's all it takes for a team that really is talented. I do think this is the most talented roster on the Cape Cod Baseball League, but you just have to find it all come out in one game.
Well, Devin, a team that really pieced it together yesterday was Orleans after a shutout win, right?
Yeah, consecutive losses. Orleans looking for a little bit of a jump back in the win column yesterday as they faced the fourth team in the West Division in the Hyannis Harbor Hawks. After dropping 3 straight, the Firebirds wanted to get to work early. Bub Terrell makes that happen in the top of the first. Singles and brings home Rowan Kelly to make it 1-0 in favor of the Birds. 3-9 record heading into the game, trying to make it 4 on the year, still in top 1. And it's small ball for Tyler Myatt to bring in Caden Miller from third on the sac fly. 2-0 Orleans. The best regular season team in 2025 has had a slow start in 26, but Kelly Nicholson is getting his boys to score any way he can. Third run of the game in the top of the fourth comes on a Dominic Cadiz sac fly, and Ryan McDougal goes 90 feet to plate it. It's 3-0 Firebirds. By this point, Hyannis has only shown one runner in scoring position all game, and Orleans continues to punish. The UCSB product Rowan Kelly drills one to left center. He has himself a triple. McDougal from first all the way to home, and it's 4-0 Orleans in the sixth. Now to one of the final chances for the Harbor Hawks. Orleans now up 5-0 in the bottom of the eighth, and it's only the second time we see a Hawk make it to the second nest. Embry freezes down on strikes with a runner in scoring position. It would be 6-0 when it's all said and done in favor of Orleans as they advance to 4-9 on the year. Cormier with a solid game, 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, and 4 Ks with Kelly. The great game going 3 for 4 with a double, a triple, an RBI, and 3 runs scored overall. And Bub Terrell, that new addition to this Firebirds team, he's been red hot and produces yesterday as well.
Yeah, he's one of a couple big hitters on this team, a couple of scary hitters. Tyler Myatt, another one, a guy who homered last time against Bourne. But this is a top-heavy Orleans team, and a team that struggled with pitching at times this season.
Yeah, very much so. And you look at them overall as a squad who's just struggled against a really, really competitive East Division so far. They're clearly the better division, and you look at the stats so far on the season for the Orleans Firebirds, and nothing really glaring. 6th in batting average, 8th in runs per game. The ERA is 5th in the Cape Cod Baseball League. They don't shine many places, and the best stat that they have is the shutout. They have 1 shutout. They lead the Cape Cod Baseball League in strikeouts per 9, and they're 3rd in the Cape Cod Baseball League in home runs. But like you said, that comes from the top part of this team. I do commend their pitching staff. They have a couple good arms, and the one we see today will be strong as well.
But also, baseball is such a mental game, and the Firebirds are coming off their first shutout win of the season. The Bravos are coming off their second consecutive loss of the season. And Bourne had 3 errors yesterday. In the past 3 games, they actually lead the Cape League in errors with 7. So that's something Bourne's going to have to clean up for today's game. Because like I said, it's a mental challenge. So Bourne is really going to have to come into today with some confidence.
Yeah, the tough thing is if you're Scott Landers, if you're part of the coaching staff for the Braves, you can't really coach a guy to not make an error in a game. But you can stick to the fundamentals. And we know Scott Landers is a guy who is better than anyone at doing that. Pitching and defense are his main strengths as a manager, and that's why he's won multiple championships here on the Cape Cod Baseball League. But at the same time, there are guys that need to be more precise making defensive plays. Lee Ellis, a couple of guys on the infield that aren't bad defenders by any means, but again, when the moment gets big, it sometimes feels like they're not in the right place.
And on top of that, you had only 2 of the 4 runs earned for the YD Red Sox yesterday. I think you see some changes in the infields this evening. I think you likely see Shaft slot back in at second base. You know, Rooster's been pretty solid at short. Trent Caraway has been the everyday third baseman so far for the Bourne Braves. I think if you put out a lineup that's just a little bit more consistent, not as much on flyers, you're going to have a stronger defense. And I think over the past couple of days when we've seen these errors, it's certain people in a little bit of awkward spots that have come with the errors in places they're maybe not as comfortable defensively.
So Scott Landers has been mixing and matching up his lineup throughout the different games. Do we think that he should keep the same lineup for yesterday, or should he change it up today?
I think you change it up a little bit. I think you bring back guys who are really solid to play the infield. I think Luke Costello, you either can have at first base or put him in right field. Garrett Michelle with a rough game yesterday at first base, but at the same time, he's a guy who took a couple days off. It takes time to get back in the rhythm. Maybe you throw Garrett Michelle at the DH and you try and see how this lineup can work out. The regular outfield, I think you got to have Matt Bolton out there. You got to have Cal Sefcik out there, in my opinion, after a solid game yesterday, hoping he can build off what he did. In the infield, I think what I just mentioned before, if you can get Schaff, Rigdon, Caraway, and either Michelle or Costello there at first base, you're looking as a solid defensive unit.
Yeah, I agree. I think you put out the lineup that gives you the best defensive edge, just knowing that it's been multiple errors in the past 3 games, and just knowing that that's kind of been the main reason the Braves haven't been able to win games, which is kind of surprising. I don't think we expected that with how good their fielding percentage was the first stretch of the season.
Well, the Bourne Braves take on the Orleans Firebirds in just a few short moments, but coming up after the break, Casey gets to speak with field manager Scott Landers. I'll be talking with Bourne Braves beat reporter Nate Laird and the new face Cooper Williams. We'll see you soon.
Heading to Nantucket this summer? Skip the traffic and take to the skies with Cape Air. With convenient flights from Norwood to Nantucket, you can start your vacation sooner without the hassle of traffic. That way you spend more time relaxing and less time getting there. Experience the Cape Air difference and book your next flight today at capeair.com. Let Cape Air be your wings in the Northeast.
The Bourne Braves take on the Orleans Firebirds for the second time this season, but this time at Doran Park. Alongside field manager Scott Landers, I'm Casey Kassler. Skip, feels like you guys are in pretty much every single game. What needs to change to turn some of these close battles into winning results?
I feel like every game's close. We just have to execute, especially earlier in the game. We've scored early in the last 2 games, but then we kind of go to sleep for a while and then come back in the 8th and 9th. But we just got to put a whole game together.
At the same time, though, how much confidence does it give you knowing that you're able to hang around some of these top teams like Harwich and YD?
Yeah, I mean, we got a strong ball club. We just got to get through a couple hurdles and make some adjustments, and I feel like we're right there.
Aside from some of the losses, the arms have been really solid. You only used 3 pitchers last night. Of the 3, which one stood out to you the most?
Man, I thought they all threw really well. Bennett gave us another performance that emulated his first 2 outings, and the other 2 guys came in and really pitched well. Musso had a tough first inning, but then settled in, and then Morrow kind of cruised the last 2.
On the offensive side, how about Matt Bolton? 2 triples. It seems like he's really starting to break out. How have you seen him grow here early in the summer?
He took a little bit to adjust, but he's really on a roll right now. He's a great kid and a student of the game, and he keeps getting better and better and as he learns.
How do you rile up a team that's coming off back-to-back losses to stay motivated, stay in it, coming into a game like today?
I mean, we're still in first place, so it's hard not to motivate them. We gone through our struggles. We just got to change the scoreboard and change the win count.
Skip, thank you so much for taking the time. Tune into the broadcast at 6 p.m.
Thanks, Casey. Well, you were out interviewing Scott Landers. I was in the dugout talking to the other coaches, and guess what? They're letting me start it short tonight. But as of right now, I'm here with Bourne Braves beat reporter Nate Laird. Nate, our returning arm on the mound today for the Bravos. Who is it?
That's right, Isaiah Shader, the righty out of Penn State, making his first start of the year, has appeared out of the bullpen twice for the Bravos so far this season, has a 5.79 ERA over 4 2/3 innings.
And who's on the mound for the Firebirds?
Well, Chase Frey, one of the most consistent pitchers so far this season for the Firebirds, is making his 3rd start of the year. Both appearances so far have been starts. Has gone more than 5 innings in both of them, has a 1.69 ERA. At Grand Canyon this past year, he made 14 starts on the mound with a 4.79 ERA.
Nate, you got any players to watch for today's game?
Yeah, my player to watch tonight is last night's player of the game, and that's Matt Bolton. 2 triples in last night's game. And he's the first player in the CCBL since 2023 to have 2 triples in a game. So far this season, he's batting .378 with an 1,045 OPS. Him and his teammate Andrew Costello are 2 of only 3 hitters in the Cape so far this season with an OPS over 1,000.
Matt Bolton and Andrew Costello, 2 powerhouses on this Brave squad. Well, Nate, thanks so much for joining us. Coming up, I got an interview with Cooper Williams, so stay tuned. Today I'm joined by Cooper Williams, an outfielder from Troy. Cooper, you didn't know you were coming to the Cape until Wednesday, but you got here for Friday's game last week. How'd you get here so fast, and what was the process like?
The process, I knew the drive from Georgia up to here is 22 hours, so I was just trying to get the fastest flight out here. And the bus trip from the airport was about an hour and a half.
Any delays or anything?
Yeah, I actually had to buy an Uber. It was about $100.
Oh, wow. Well, you're on a 2-game hit streak now. You've actually had 3 hits in the past 2 games. What's been clicking for you here in Bourne?
My 2-strike approach is what helps me the most, and I feel like the guys really have my back.
Yeah, so what's the hardest part about being up here and joining the team late?
Joining the team late for a guy like me, I'm a little anxious, so it's been hard just trying to fit in.
Especially because you haven't had an off day yet. But when you do, what are you going to do at that time?
I'm going to go to the beach, and I'm going to go fishing.
You're going to go to the beach, what are you going to do? Build a sandcastle, you're going to tan, swim?
Jet skiing.
All right, well, Cooper, thanks so much.
No problem.
Welcome back into the pregame Tomahawk Talk as the Bourne Braves are set to take on the Orleans Firebirds at 6 p.m. I'm Cadence Kilhoff alongside Devin Jarvis and Casey Kasliner. Guys, 2 teams that have already squared up with each other earlier last week, but they're back again this week. 2 very different teams that we've seen from previous games. So what do we expect from them today?
I think it'll be really interesting. You had another piggyback starter today going from Shader into Ali Saya for the Bourne Braves. Haven't seen Ali Saya at all out of USF, that's South Florida. But a lot of excitement surrounding this pitcher as he'll come in probably later in the game. Last time we saw the piggyback, it was Will Whalen as well as Aiden Stillman. Bourne ended up tying that game against Chatham. But overall, there was stuff to like from it. I think for Shader, obviously you want to see a little bit more of that second performance that we saw against YT compared to Harwich, where he allowed 3 runs and then shut out the Red Sox in the second time facing them. But from the bats overall, I mean, we'll say it again, you want to see a little bit more consistency. I don't know if it's just scoring, right? You just got to see not 4 consecutive innings of 1, 2, 3 innings. And that's what we saw each of the last 2 games, where Bourne were put down 12 consecutive times in both of those games, and you can't have that. You have to find a little bit more production. You have to threaten. I feel like earlier in the season we were talking about Bourne not being able to score with runners in scoring position, which is still the case, but they didn't even get runners in scoring position for the mid part of yesterday's game compared to the way they were earlier in the season. It was a fun, competitive one last time against Orleans and should be all right.
Yeah, extra base hits are important in baseball, obviously. And Matt Bolton did a good job of that, a couple of triples for him, but you want to see more guys add to that variety. You talk about changes from this last matchup with Orleans. The Braves didn't have a chance to face off against Bub Terrell, center fielder who has a power bat, solid defender out in center field. That's a guy who's going to try to do damage. We saw Tyler Myatt do it. So if those guys can work off each other and add to the offense, Orleans has struggled this season offensively. That's where you might see a change. But if the Braves stick to their guns and are able to pitch through this game, you don't necessarily need to score a ton of runs and hopefully can come out with a W.
Well, the Braves didn't have half as many errors as they did the last time they played Orleans. And Devin, you were here last summer. You say a lot of the times that Bourne was actually not as good as they are as a team this season as they were last year. But what about these errors? What's going on with them now?
I mean, the errors are, it seems like a little bit of a phase for this team. You got to know whether or not it's going to happen in a long stretch. I think there still were a lot of defensive lapses for this team, even when there weren't really a lot of errors in the games leading up to it. You probably had 50-50 calls that could have been ruled as errors where Bourne made mistakes defensively. It's just something that you're going to have to feel out, see how this team goes, because they've played really solid defense, and then they've shown these last 3 games the defense has slowed down a lot. And you just mentioned it. You can't tell somebody, hey, don't make an error, and then they're not going to make an error. You can't make an adjustment in their fielding. It's just a reps thing. And as you get more reps, as you understand Doran Park's infield just a little bit more, as you see the way the ball comes off these wooden bats compared to metal bats, it's going to get a little bit more comfortable. We're still early in the season. I wouldn't say errors are a big concern unless this continues week after week.
Well, the game is almost underway. Thank you for joining us on the pregame Tomahawk Talk. Coming up, you'll catch these guys on the call and me on the sidelines.
If you're a Massachusetts resident and don't have a bachelor's, you could be attending 4Cs for free, all while preparing for careers that actually move you forward. Aviation maintenance, nursing, dental, funeral service, we've got it all. capecod.edu/free.
If you can dream it, if you can cruise in it, if you can summer in it, fish from it, or take it for a day at the beach, we can protect it. The Baldwin Group, protecting the possible.
Reader's Hardwood Supply is a candy store for wood, whether you're a professional or an amateur. Reader's Hardwood Supply carries over 70 species of both domestic and imported lumber from around the world, displayed in over 300 self-serve bins for your selection. So for your next project, make it your masterpiece with stock from Reader's Hardwood Supply. The woods of the world are here at Reader's Hardwood Supply.